love to spoil our little fur babies to pieces with the latest toys, treats, and training tools. But did you know that there are some things that you should never buy from a pet store? Let's bark about it. Welcome back to Alpha Paw, your destination for everything dog. I'm Bernie Zilio, and I'm on a mission to answer every doggone question you have ever had about your fur babies. And today, we're talking about the 5 common things you should never, ever buy at a pet store. And fortunately, we have with us today an expert vet, Dr. Ross Bernstein. Dr. Ross is a seasoned veterinary professional and pet care expert. He earned his doctorate degree in veterinary medicine at UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, and his work has been featured in several industry-leading publications, including the Journal of Veterinary Surgery. He is our go-to vet for everything we want and need to know about our fur babies. So welcome back to Alpha Pod, Dr. Ross.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's talk about pet store purchases. Now, you would think that if something is being sold at a pet store, that it's good for our dogs or that it's been approved in some way. Why is that not correct?
You'd hope so, I guess, but there's actually very few safety regulations and government oversight on what can be sold in a pet store. So unfortunately, not everything on the shelves there is completely safe for your dogs.
That's kind of scary to hear as a pet parent. So let's get right into it. I know that there's 5 major things that you should never buy at a pet store. And the first one being, drum roll please, a puppy. I think we all know this, but can you explain to us the exact reason why we should not buy puppies at pet stores?
There's so many dogs that are in shelters or rescue organizations that are taken off the street that already don't have homes, and they're probably great dogs too. Other places to buy dogs are from reputable breeders where they've screened the parents for any genetic traits that are potentially bad that can be passed down from the parents down to the kids, such as heart disease, orthopedic disease, eye problems, all sorts of stuff. And so if the parents have been screened, it's less likely that the puppies will have it. When dogs are in stores, you don't really know if they came from what's called like a puppy mill, where the owners are just breeding the dogs to make money.
Okay, got it. So basically, get your dogs from either rescue shelters or reputable breeders. So once you do have your dog or your puppy, I know there are certain things that you should not be giving them. One of them being something like cow hooves. Can you explain why that would be not good to give your dog?
Yeah, definitely. Cow hooves or bones, very hard plastic toys. They can be very hard. And I guess the rule of thumb to go by is if you take your fingernail and try to indent it into the toy or whatever item that your dog's going to be chewing on, if your fingernail can't indent it, it's going to be very hard and it can be very damaging on your dog's teeth. And so if they're biting cow hooves, for example, or a bone or some very hard toy, it can fracture their teeth, it can cause damage, it can cut their gums. And wow, it's not that safe.
Does this apply to just puppies or dogs of any age?
Dogs of any age. And taking that one step further, if they did swallow that, that's potentially even worse.
Oh, wow. Okay, good to know. Things that I did not know about my own dog, but I will be making sure his toys are safe. So what happens if your dog or your puppy does swallow a piece of this really hard toy?
Hopefully they don't, but if they do, sometimes it can pass, but if it doesn't, they can get what's called a GI or gastrointestinal obstruction. And if you can imagine, that's something kind of like a traffic jam in their GI tract where everything is stopped at one spot and it gets a big bottleneck from where that obstruction is. And it can be life-threatening. And if it's not taken care of, it can lead to their death.
Oh boy. Okay. So I'll definitely be scoping out all of Pod's toys, making sure they're safe.
Yeah.
So let's talk about things that dogs can chew on, which obviously would be chew toys. But I recently discovered you have to be careful where the toys are coming from. Now, I know that dog toys made in China can be potentially dangerous. Can you explain why?
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier that there's very few safety regulations and government oversight on what toys can be sold in a pet store. And a little while ago, there was some concern about toys coming from China, where there was some contaminant. We don't actually exactly know what the contaminant was, but we think it was some mineral from a manufacturing plant. And there's just very little oversight. And so the best recommendation that veterinarians can give is that when you get a toy, it's probably best recommended to get it from a brand that you know and you trust.
Okay, perfect. I also apologize for the noise being made. Todd decided to bring the noisiest ball he has in here and roll it around. Oh, now he's back with a bone. So there we go. Okay, so this next one is actually going to shock our viewers. It shocked me. We should not be letting our dogs play with tennis balls. Like, dogs and tennis balls go together like peanut butter and jelly. I do not understand this, and I need a thorough explanation.
I think they do go together most of the time. So a lot of dogs love playing fetch, or some dogs just like chewing on tennis balls. I guess really what it comes down to is if they've chewed the tennis ball into pieces and are tearing off the little green hairs, or they've actually chewed it and broken it apart. At that point, you should take the ball away because it's a risk that they might eat it and get that GI foreign body obstruction that we talked about earlier. You want to make sure that the ball is the appropriate size for your breed. Like a bigger dog, such as a Labrador, Golden Retriever, shouldn't be getting a little tiny ball that a Yorkie would play with, because that's just almost asking them to swallow it. And again, a Yorkie, I guess, shouldn't be playing with a big or normal sized tennis ball. I guess they could, but it might not be that much fun. Some dogs also can literally chew the ball in their mouth for so long and so hard that it can push their teeth out. So we definitely don't want that to happen. That's much more rare. It's more common that they'll actually chew the ball and break it. Then they're at risk for swallowing it and ingesting the contents and having a foreign body obstruction. But they can also, some dogs just really gnaw on the green parts of the tennis ball, and it can wear away their teeth, kind of like sandpaper. Really, if they're gnawing at anything for a long time, sometimes even themselves, if they had fleas or if they have really bad allergies, it can wear away their teeth. So we want to watch our dogs closely and look out for these types of destructive behaviors.
Copy. So play with the tennis ball, but don't leave them alone with the tennis ball. Finally, number 5, and I don't think my dog's going to be too happy to hear about this one, is stuffed animals. Why should we not let our dogs have stuffed animals?
Well, there's kind of like the same guidelines that I talked about for a tennis ball, but stuffed animal, once they start to chew it apart and take out all the stuffing or even the squeaker, say the squeaker toy or the actual squeaker itself from the toy is a very common foreign body that we remove from dogs' intestines. Unfortunately, it's very common. Took one out like a couple of weeks ago. We see it all the time. And so once that toy is chewed up and broken, it's best to get a new toy and find them something else to chew on.
Well, this has been extremely enlightening and frankly a little shocking. But Dr. Russ, I wanted to know if there's any place that you recommend for pet owners to get toys and stuff like that for their pets.
So I think the best place to get toys that are made responsibly is from your big box companies. So there are some new Kongs out there that are what's called radio opaque, meaning that they have a compound in them that if your dog did swallow them, you could see them on an x-ray. They'll light up.
Oh, wow.
Those kind of toys do exist. But really, you want to make sure that the toy that you're getting is from a name that you trust and that you can look up. In addition to the big box stores, you can also check out alphapaw.com. They have some great products too. It's always recommended just to make sure you're supervising your pets while they're playing with their toys.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely be linking to that in the description box below. And we'll definitely be doing a follow-up about the best things to be buying from a pet store. But before we get ahead of ourselves, do you have more questions about what treats and toys are good or bad for your pup? Leave them in the comments section below. Again, I'm Bernie Zilio, and this is Alpha Paw. Be sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single doggone episode. We'll see you next time.